today I'm going to be sharing with you guys a little bit of information that I hope is going to be very, very beneficial. I hope that it will impart some great nuggets into your life that will help you. I don't want to say this, navigate through your life and be able to help you to move forward, to learn some things about yourself, to, be able to maybe hope that you can inspire and encourage another person. You can share this information that I'm sharing with you today and hopefully be inspiring and, like I mentioned before, and encouraging to someone else, just to kind of help them to see that there is light at the end of that tunnel. And so I titled my video today, Depressed as a Teen, because it's true. I went through depression as a teen, but I didn't know that's what I was dealing with. I grew up in an era where, back in the 60s and the 70s, really in the 70s, where you didn't talk about depression. You didn't talk about going to see therapy. You didn't talk about going to a doctor. If something was going on with you other than health wise, but not in terms of being able to cope with life, feeling, down or feeling unhappy, feeling sad, dealing with any type of mental health issues. We didn't talk about that during that time. That was like taboo. There's nothing that you talk about. So going through the years of feeling depressed, and let me just kind of share with you why. You're thinking, you're a teen, why would you be depressed? Well, let me just share this with you. So I'm the youngest of 7 kids, and I grew up in a household where the sister that was next to me was 5 years older than me, and everybody else was older. So I grew up being the youngest of 7 kids, 5 girls and 2 boys, and I have a different dad than my siblings do. All 6 of them have the same dad, and I had a different dad. And so I grew up under that shadow of, okay, well, I don't quite fit into that family because I have a different dad. Um, and then I'm hearing the kids saying things about my body. Oh, you're so skinny. Look at the shape of your nose. Your ears are so little. I would hear these types of comments that individuals would say. And over time, I started to say those things to myself too. And I started to believe, well, yeah, I really was skinny when I was growing up. And didn't have a shape, was flat chested, didn't have a butt, so no curves here, not at all, right? And so for me, I'm growing up with this body shaming. And back then we didn't know that's what it was called, body shaming, right? But when I look back and I'm like, yep, I went through body shaming. I went through depression. I went through dealing with anxiety. There was times I couldn't sleep at night because of, how I was feeling. Into my teen, going into high school, I was still struggling in these areas and not really knowing who to talk to, what to say, how to feel. Through the years, I just really got into learning to do crossword puzzles and be good at certain word search, right? Being good at those and being able to play video games and enjoying. That was my world, was video games. Back then, we had what was called Odyssey, Space Odyssey, okay, and that was like the big, almost like how Nintendo is now, or how. Oh, I'm kind of dating myself. I want to say not Nintendo, but how the PS4s and all that, one, two, and three, four, all of them, right? How that has boomed. Well, back during my time, it was Space Odyssey was one of the biggest things. And then, there was another one, I can't think of it right now, but, we have progressed to, those were the main ones that we played with. And so there were certain games that I could play that I was really good at. And that was my world. That was how I decompressed. That was how I shut off all of the negative. That was how I separated myself from feeling like I didn't belong in the family to feeling like I didn't belong around the kids, or being body shamed with the kids, being talked about with the kids. And some of these were kids that I said was friends, and being bullied as a kid. So I went through, dealing with a lot of different emotional pain as a child. And then as the time got older, or years went by, I want to say, when I became 25, I went for counseling. I had gotten this job, this great job. I was working at the post office, started in 1991. I was 22 years old with a job at the post office. I was like, yes, I have arrived. I'm making, back then, there was a lot of money to make 12.25 an hour, right? Back during that time. So I was making some good money. I was working all the overtime. I was a single mom. My daughter was 2 years old. I was making it then, right? I had it all going for me. And so going through all of this and just like doing everything, just making it, just doing the things that I need to do. And I thought, hey, things are good. But I didn't realize that I had just masked all of the hurt and the pain that I had been dealing with, and I just masked it. And I went through with just going through the motions. just doing everything that needed to be done, right? Going through the motions and not taking time for myself. I was there for my daughter. I was there for my family. My sisters needed me. Whatever they needed, I was there to help them out. My friends, I was there helping everybody out. My mom needed something. I was always there for my mom. Whatever she needed, I was there. And so through the years, um, I didn't realize that I had developed, I had started to become, or not started, I had become a people pleaser. I was so, how can I say this? I was so determined to be accepted and to be accepted through my family, be accepted through my friends. That was so important for me. And so, because of that, I was a people pleaser. Whatever they needed, I was there. And didn't realize that I wasn't taking time for me because my time for me was taking care of my daughter, going to work every day, doing the things I needed to do. That was me. That was what I thought I was doing was right. So when I found myself going to a doctor, start having these headaches, my stomach was bothering me, and I couldn't understand why I was having these issues. I was times where I couldn't sleep. I was dealing with some stress on the job at the post office, and I thought maybe this is what's going on. So feeling depressed and going through this at the post office, I was sick all the time and found out I had a sinus infection, and it was just so much was going on. So I went to see the therapist. I went to see my doctor first, and she suggested I go and talk to a therapist. And I'm like, well, why would I do that? Because in my mind, I keep remembering I'm growing up in an era where you don't go see therapists. There's something's wrong, mentally wrong with you. This is what we thought. If you go to see a therapist, there's something mentally wrong with you, okay? If you go see a therapist. So when she told me that, my doctor, we sat and we talked, and she was really open about it. And she said, Jackie, I think you're going through some depression. And I'm like, well, what is that? And then she's like, kind of shared a little bit. She said, I think you need to go and talk to a therapist. So when I finally went to talk to a therapist, it took me a little bit, but I didn't tell anybody because I knew my mom wasn't going to accept it. It wouldn't be accepted around my family, my friends. They would all look at me and judge me. So I didn't say anything. So I went to see the therapist. And she mentioned to me two things, that I was depressed and that I was a people pleaser. That was my first time hearing a people pleaser, what a people pleaser was. And of course, back then we didn't have internet where you can look stuff up like that online, right? So I'm thinking, well, how can I be a people pleaser? What's going on with that? And so then, she gave me some information, just kind of talked to me about it, and it just clicked. It was like, okay, yeah, I can see myself as that person because of the characteristics of what is a people pleaser. Those were things that I had been doing, and I had been so conditioned to do it for so many years to where it just felt like that was the norm for me. But it was really, really unhealthy for me to be in that place. And so going through dealing with the depression and the anxiety and not able to sleep, not able to eat, I kind of started losing weight, and and then I took a trip and I went to visit some relatives in Tennessee, and I was there for about 4 days. um, and I didn't take my daughter. My mom kept my daughter. That was like my kind of rejuvenating my mind, my heart, and my soul during that time. And it was a good break. But when I came back, guess what? I still had everything there. So I could no longer hide it. I had to try to deal with it. And it was difficult, and I struggled for so many years. I struggled from 25 years old all the way up to 43 years old of struggling with being a people pleaser. And now I'm past that age, and I have spent the last almost 13 years rebuilding my life so that I'm no longer a people pleaser. I'm no longer that person that struggles with depression on a continuous basis. So when you hear me talk about self-care, self-love, healing, and why it's so important for us to practice those things, those actions, those behaviors, have that mindset of healing, the mindset of self-care, mindset of loving yourself, because it's so very, very important. And I believe that if we spent more time focusing on loving ourselves, taking care of ourselves, having these special days where we take 5, 10 minutes time and just go do something for ourselves. I used to find time when I was a kid, staying in my room, like I said, playing the video games and playing the word search games. Even to this day, I still absolutely love it. I don't play video games like I used to, unless I go to Dave and Buster, then I'll play. But at home, I still absolutely love to play, to do the word games. I even have a word game on my phone that I play. I absolutely love it because that was my world back then. So when I'm starting to feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulder, this is one of the things that I do. I'll start playing that game on my phone, or either I'll just buy the word search and just do those. And then I also love to do the Sudoku games. So this was, or should I say, Sudoku puzzles. Okay, so this was my world back then, and I noticed when I'm feeling kind of down, or like I said, a weight of the world is on my shoulder, I revert back to the things that gave me solace, the things that brought me peace, that helped me through feeling like I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. And so these are things that I still fall back on to this day. And so I wanted to just kind of share with you all the importance of self care, the importance of self love, the importance of healing. After you've gone through a breakup, after you've gone through a divorce, how do you heal from that? And not only just through those kind of relationships, it could be a breakup with a friendship, it can be losing a job, moving from that job to another job because it's so stressed. And you still need that healing part of that process. And I think a lot of times we think healing only goes with traumatic situations, or it goes with breakups or divorces. And that's not true, because there's other parts of our bodies and our mind that have dealt with some kind of emotional pain, and we still need to be able to heal from that emotional pain, even in terms of losing a job, or a business folding, or having some financial difficulties on that job, and dealing with some individuals that might not be the best individuals to deal with, and there's that emotional pain that's there. So there's still a part of that individual that still needs to go through some form of healing. Okay, so don't always look at healing and relate it to a divorce or a breakup. It's more than just that. And I think a lot of times we overlook that. And I think that's probably why a lot of people are struggling in their life, is because they don't practice healing. They don't practice self care and self love. So I wanted to share this information with you all today, and I thank you all for joining in. And I hope that something that I've shared with you has been very, very beneficial, will help you along your journey, help you along, this new chapter of your life here in 2022, in order to help you move forward, to gain some better momentum than what you had in maybe in 21 or in 20, and you're still trying to kind of find your way through. So I hope that this video shares some of that information with you, and continue to keep watching me, because I'm going to continue to keep sharing these videos and sharing bits and pieces of my life to just kind of help you along your journey wherever you may find yourself. So with that being said, you guys, thank you for joining in today. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you all win. You got it on that next video. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.